The prison moon of Threx 7 wasn't supposed to have survivors. It was a place the Galactic Union used for the ones they didn't want to execute publicly: rebels, pirates, failed experiments. The radiation storms kept most from lasting more than a few months. The rest turned feral. When the transport ship Warden's knife landed that morning, even the guards looked uneasy. A new inmate was being dropped off, one small, quiet human woman, hands bound in carbon cuffs. She looked harmless enough, her face pale from cryosleep, her hair tied back with regulation cloth. Her name, according to the file, was Lyra Holt. Her crime: unregulated combat augmentation. Mass casualty event. Level 5 threat classification. The guards didn't know what that meant. They didn't need to. They just shoved her out of the airlock and into the dust storms, laughing as she stumbled. Threx 7's prisoners had long ago formed their own order, a crude hierarchy of violence. The strong ruled, the weak were stripped of everything. And when a fragile-looking human arrived, that was sport. She walked through the rust-colored fog toward the ruin of an old mining outpost. Dozens of shapes watched from the shadows, aliens with jagged horns, metal graphs, and tribal scars. A gang calling themselves the Rend Blades. Their leader, a 6-armed brute named Korvac, grinned when he saw her. "Human," he rumbled. "We don't get many of you here." Lyra didn't reply. She just glanced at him with those pale gray eyes that looked too calm for this place. "Speak," he barked. "I'm not here for you," she said softly. "I just need shelter." Laughter erupted around her. "Shelter? You'll get it under the ground." Korvac's fist struck her face. She stumbled back, blood on her lip, but she didn't raise her hands. "Stop," she said quietly. He hit her again, and again. The others joined in, circling her like predators, kicks and blows raining down. She didn't fight back. She just kept saying it, voice calm even through the pain. "Stop." When she finally fell to her knees, Korvac laughed and raised a metal club. "You're in our world now, human." The strike came down and stopped inches from her face. The air hummed. A faint vibration spread through the ground, as if something deep beneath Threx 7's crust had awakened. The metal club in Korvac's hand began to shake, then melt. Lyra rose slowly. Blood dripped down her chin, but her eyes glowed now, not gray anymore, but silver white. The nanolines beneath her skin pulsed like liquid fire. "I told you to stop." 20 minutes later, no one was left standing. But that was only the beginning. The Union had thought they erased Project Halo years ago. A human weapon meant to fight on death worlds, nanite blood that learned from every wound, reflexes tuned to the rhythm of quantum storms. Lyra was one of 12 test subjects. The others went mad. She survived. She had begged them to shut the project down. When they refused, she walked into their command center and made them watch as she dismantled their machines one by one, bare-handed, precise, surgical. They called it a massacre. She called it a shutdown. Now, on Threx 7, she had become something else, something the Union feared more than any weapon. Rumors spread within days. Prisoners whispered about the ghost in the storm, a woman who could walk through radiation without burning, who could make weapons disassemble themselves with a thought. But she didn't hunt. She avoided the gangs, built a shelter in the hollowed mining tunnels, lived off filtered condensation. The storms outside sang against the metal walls, and she would sit there for hours listening. Until one day the Union came back. A command ship, massive enough to blot out the moons, descended through the clouds. They hadn't come to rescue anyone. They'd come to erase the evidence. Lyra saw the bright flash from orbit, the telltale pulse of a planet-buster charge warming up. They were going to vaporize the entire moon. She could have hidden, waited, died quietly. But she had seen too much of the Union's cleansing fires already. So she stood up. Outside, the storm cut against her skin like knives, but the nanites healed faster than they could tear. She reached the surface outpost where the rend blades once ruled, now nothing but twisted slag and bones. Lyra Holt, came the voice from the ship's loudspeakers. By order of the Galactic Union, you are to be terminated. There is no negotiation. She looked up at the ship's underbelly, its weapons glowing red. I warned you once, she whispered. I'll do it again. The first plasma volley came down, carving a crater into the sand. She moved through it like smoke, every instinct guided by something far beyond human reflex. She leapt, landing on a fragment of a falling hull plate, riding it upward. The air boiled around her, nanites weaving a shimmering field of light. She reached the ship's hull, palms slamming into the plating. The metal rippled like water under her touch. Inside, Union officers screamed as consoles exploded. Systems failed one after another. Artificial gravity reversed. Lyra's voice came through every speaker, calm and cold. You hit me. You hit my planet. You hit all of us when we said stop. The engines detonated. The sky burned. When the explosion cleared, half the ship was gone, its remains tumbling into Threx 7's horizon like dying stars. Lyra fell with them, landing amid the wreckage. Her body was covered in ash, her scarf burned away, but she was still breathing. For a moment, she thought it was over. Then she heard the sound, metal scraping against metal. Someone was still alive. A young ensign crawled from the wreckage, barely older than she'd been when the project began. His eyes were wide with terror. Please, he whispered. I didn't want this. I just followed orders. Lyra knelt beside him. The nanites around her dimmed. I know, she said gently. So did I once. She pressed a hand to his wound, sealing it. There's a shuttle under the forward wing. Take it. Leave this place before the reactors collapse. He stared at her, trembling. You're letting me go? Someone should tell them, she said quietly, that I'm done running. He hesitated, then fled toward the horizon. Lyra turned her gaze skyward. The storm had shifted, violet lightning tracing patterns that looked almost alive. She could feel the nanites inside her pulsing in rhythm with it. Do you hear that? She whispered to no one. That's what you made me for. To survive anything. She raised her hand toward the dying light of the ship, and the storm answered. When the Union's reconnaissance fleet returned 3 weeks later, they found Threx 7 silent. Radiation levels off the charts. No signs of human life. Yet in the satellite recordings, one image kept repeating. A lone figure walking across the plains, barefoot, her body glowing faintly in the dark. Every step she took, the storm followed her, tamed, almost reverent. They tried to track her. Failed. Every sensor that focused on her shorted out, every drone sent after her vanished. Eventually, the Union sealed the files, labeling them Anomaly 9, the Holt event. But on the outer colonies, whispers spread of a woman who once asked her tormentors to stop, and when they didn't, she ended a world. They said she still walked among the wastelands, her touch healing the broken machines, her voice carried by the storms that once killed men. And sometimes, when lightning struck a little too close to a Union cruiser, the captains swore they saw her reflection, calm, distant, watching.